Hello, afternoon. I'm pretty tired today. Yeah. I overslept, but when you sleep too much, it it seems that it's the opposite of what you intended. Instead of resting, you just get more and more tired. Anyway, well, last video we have recorded was about the passive voice. This one will be about the passive voice as well, but it's almost over. Why did the last videos have a lengthy duration? It was due to the fact that it has some complexity in it. And another thing I had to say, no matter how many people, how many teachers tell you, okay, you just learn by setting examples, it's okay, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Learning by examples helps you improve your speech and understand the situations in which you use certain expressions instead of others. I agree with you. But when you are preparing yourself for a test, for example, you must understand more clearly the rules of grammar. You can make the comparison as you do in real life, in Portuguese. You know, almost every Brazilian knows how to speak Portuguese. In order to speak a language, you don't need to understand the grammar. But if you want to speak correctly, if you want to use the proper expressions, it's necessary that you learn the rules. But not only the rules, but the logic behind it. And I can say that it's a combination of both, right? When I first studied in English school, the first one was focused on conversation, right? The teacher spoke English all the time and gave us some examples and encouraged the students to speak, right? Even if they were wrong, if they make some minor or major mistakes. It doesn't matter whether you make mistakes or not. The most important thing is that you speak. Okay, I agree with that approach, but when I studied another school, it was another course of action. They had a different approach towards teaching, and they focused on grammar aspects. Grammar is important to speak correctly, not to speak. If you want to speak, doesn't matter whether you speak wrong or correctly. Even because it's difficult to find people who speak correctly all the time. Sometimes everyone makes minor mistakes. But if you are aware of that, you can make better compositions, you can speak better, you can prepare yourself to more formal situations. For example, working in a company, it's required that you express yourself in a formal, orderly manner. So it's something that you should worry about. That's why the last videos about the passive voice weren't all about examples, because examples help you understand how the expressions are used, but they are not enough. You must understand the rules. Do I have to memorize the rules? Well, it's up to you. I memorized them by repetition. And not only repetition, but I understood the logic behind it. I understood the rational aspects of the rule, and then it turned out to be easier to memorize. Okay, so given this proper introduction, right, I like to give you some perspective, to put it into some perspective, not only to teach you, but to help you understand English, because that's how I learned, and I think my way of learning may help you learn English as well. May help. I'm not being deterministic. I'm not assuming that you will learn English the same way I learned. People learn in different ways, right? Each person is special in many ways, and they learn in different aspects, through different aspects. Okay, so let's get started now. Okay, so what were we studying? There is another last situation of the passive voice that we haven't talked about in the last video, but it will be very brief before we start the next topic about the passive voice. Well, when I say, for example, the thieves were, oh my god, lost focus, yes. The thieves were being chased by the police. Okay, so there was a crime happening and the thieves were being chased by the police. What can you imply by that? You remember that the passive voice, the main characteristics that we have in the passive voice. First, you always have a verb in the past participle, which is the verb chased. It's a regular verb, okay? All right. Well, the thieves were being. This is verb to be. Remember, the passive voice, you always have the verb to be. And you learned by watching the last 3 videos or so that the verb to be has the same verb tense used in the active voice. What is the verb tense which was employed here? Were, being. This is the past continuous. The past continuous is made by using a verb, the verb to be, was or were, plus the main verb followed by ing. Remember that? We have already studied this verb tense before. So what happens? This is the past continuous. If I turn this sentence into an active, this is not the active voice, because the thieves are not the doer of the action. The police is the subject of the sentence. So, the police was chasing the thieves. Okay? I'm going to check something on the internet about something that is very important. Okay, so, okay. I had a doubt here about the agreement of the verb. It's not was, okay? It's were. Because the police conveys an idea of a group of people, a group of policemen or policewoman, policemen or policewomen, right? In the plural. So when you say the police, it's a collective expression, okay? So the police were chasing the thieves. the active voice. The police are the doer of the action, are doers of the action, and the thieves, the object. Chasing who or what? They were chasing the thieves. The thieves is the object. People say that it's also correct to use in singular form, but I don't know. The most websites I'm searching here, you can say, yeah, okay. Now, let's give a parenthesis before we finish this video. When you refer to the police as an institution, the police as an institution is singular. The police as group of people is employed in plural form. Okay? All right. Well, this video was just to see this situation of the past continuous. I guess we have already explored all the examples we have about the passive voice. The next video will be also about the passive voice, but it will be a little different because we will see expressions in the passive voice, not the rules, okay? Even if we studied the rules in the last videos, we always explain the rules through examples, not the rules themselves. The rules themselves, if I just explain past perfect plus verb to be, it is not meaningful to the student, right? If you want to understand better, it's important to see the rule, but to understand how the rule applies to various examples, as we have already studied. Okay, people, so that's it. I highly recommend that you watch the whole series of the passive voice, because the passive voice as a whole is very interesting to study. I give various examples. I give most of the situations an intermediate or advanced student has to understand. And the next lesson will be more and more examples, but focused on expressions rather than rules. Okay? Bye-bye.